The online world is currently in a frenzy, fixated on Hailey Bieber, who is finally addressing the persistent accusations that she is a stalker, obsessed with a particular ex-girlfriend, and even resorted to alleged dark arts to capture Justin's affection. Yes, we are indeed going there. Yet, just as Hailey graces the prestigious cover of a major fashion magazine, Justin seems to have a knack for shifting the spotlight, this time with an emotionally charged Instagram caption. In it, he reveals a past disagreement where he supposedly told Hailey she would never achieve such a feat. The timing of this revelation is, to say the least, uncanny. Nevertheless, destiny appears to favor Hailey, as the same week brought the monumental announcement of her brand's acquisition in a staggering billion-dollar deal. And, of course, no narrative involving the Biebers is complete without an appearance from a certain pop star. Just as reports hinted at her alleged attempts to hinder Hailey's brand from entering a major beauty retailer, she suddenly reemerges with a narrative of support, claiming to cheer on the very woman she once seemed to subtly undermine. The media, predictably, continues to perpetuate the narrative of an ongoing rivalry, seemingly unable to break free from the cycle of sensationalism. This entire situation is a circus, especially after recent discussions exposing what appears to be a calculated propaganda campaign against them. From misleading headlines to unsubstantiated breakup rumors, the agenda against them seems very clear. Adding to the chaos are new whispers about Justin's financial state, alleged conflicts with his team, and suggestions of a personal downward spiral. This story is complicated, to say the least. If you're eager to uncover the full story and stay ahead of the curve, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now, because you won't want to miss a single detail as we unravel this intriguing narrative. Hailey's significant moment, gracing the cover of a prominent magazine, was seemingly overshadowed by Justin's unexpected public confession. It takes a unique level of unawareness to turn your wife's professional triumph into a public admission of a past fight where you doubted her capabilities, yet, surprisingly, this act managed to elicit a wave of sympathy for her. Only a few months prior, the internet was united in labeling Hailey a manipulative opportunist who ensnared Justin and whose entire public persona was seemingly built around his past relationship. However, with one strikingly personal caption, Justin inadvertently flipped the script entirely. He effectively halted the surge of negativity aimed at Hailey by diverting attention to himself, essentially proclaiming, "Remember when I told you you'd never make it to this magazine cover? Well, congratulations, I was wrong." While his exact words may not have been quite so blunt, the essence of his message was strikingly similar. This unexpected turn of events led to a sudden shift in public sentiment, with many now labeling Justin as insensitive and suggesting Hailey deserves better. It is remarkable how such a significant misstep on his part ultimately worked in his wife's favor. He posted her magazine cover, accompanying it with a lengthy caption detailing a past argument, essentially admitting he was once mean and disrespectful. The fact that Hailey appearing on the magazine cover prompted Justin to recall a past fight, effectively painting himself as the antagonist and sharing this with the public, offers a clear insight into his operational methods. Justin, despite being a victim of exploitation and industry pitfalls throughout his life, has consistently found Hailey to be a steadfast source of support and encouragement. This unwavering presence was evident from the very beginning of their relationship, even during their initial friendship. Justin exhibits a recurring pattern, whether consciously or not, of adopting a somewhat self-sacrificing demeanor. He frequently shares deeply emotional or self-deprecating anecdotes, often with the intention of appearing vulnerable. However, these confessions often inadvertently shift the focus onto himself, even in moments that should be centered on others, like Hailey. It's as if he aims to convey his own pain or extensive past struggles, which is understandable to a degree, but this frequently detracts from the individuals around him, making everything revolve around his personal challenges. Rather than being perceived as genuine vulnerability, these public expressions sometimes come across as emotionally driven attempts at damage control, disguised as profound confessions. This tendency explains his consistent inclination to declare, "Look at me, I'm the flawed one. Please extend your forgiveness. I am striving for improvement." Given his acknowledged struggles with verbal articulation, these public statements frequently backfire, portraying him negatively and often suggesting a need for further therapeutic engagement. Justin has often been open about his journey towards self-improvement, whether through therapy, faith, or public apologies for past actions, particularly in previous relationships. He strives to present himself as someone actively learning and growing from his mistakes, working towards self-acceptance and a more accountable future. However, when these personal reflections are shared publicly, they often miss their intended mark. While his devoted fans may perceive them as courageous acts of vulnerability, a broader online audience frequently interprets them as manipulative or, worse, calculated efforts at emotional damage control. His past struggles, from reckless behavior in his early 20s to complex romantic entanglements, are deeply ingrained in the public consciousness. Consequently, much of the public tends to view his current actions through that historical lens. Even when he genuinely attempts to demonstrate personal growth, many simply perceive a continuation of past patterns, toxicity, self-absorption, and a tendency to center every narrative around himself. This creates a perpetual losing situation for him. When he remains silent, he is accused of disengagement. When he speaks openly, he is labeled as manipulative or deceitful. While accountability is undeniably important, there is a distinct difference between constructive criticism and relentless public condemnation. Justin finds himself ensnared in a cycle where he is rarely afforded the benefit of the doubt. This dynamic played out precisely with his recent magazine post. Justin likely believed he was being honest, showcasing his growth as a partner and celebrating his wife's achievements despite his past doubts. In his mind, this represented accountability and personal progress. However, to the wider audience, it was perceived as a casual reminder from a husband to his wife, on her moment of triumph, that he once publicly crushed her aspirations. The public did not applaud his honesty. Instead, the gesture backfired. He inadvertently portrayed Hailey as a woman forced to prove her worth even within her own marriage. In that instant, the very internet that had previously ridiculed her suddenly felt sympathy for her plight. Justin isn't obligated to articulate every thought or emotion, especially not to millions on a public platform. Yet, his consistent need to explain, reflect, and confess in such a visible manner often suggests a profound desire to validate himself, both internally and to his audience. This dynamic is complex, especially since his genuine affection for Hailey is evident. In the same magazine feature that sparked discussions about Justin's perceived toxicity, he sent the writer a concise yet heartfelt email. "I've done a lot of dumb things in my life, but the smartest thing I've ever done was marry Hailey." Justin's consistent effort to present an authentic portrayal of his marriage is clear. However, when these tender sentiments are repeatedly juxtaposed with narratives of past conflicts or emotionally charged congratulations, the core message becomes diluted. The audience often perceives the accompanying baggage rather than the underlying love. Sometimes, allowing Hailey to fully experience her moment without additional commentary would speak volumes more than any caption ever could. Therefore, while Justin's intentions may have been well-meaning, his delivery of that particular moment appeared more self-serving than genuinely supportive. He inadvertently shifted Hailey's achievement into a public forum for his own perceived guilt, transforming a cherished milestone into what resembled a public therapy session. After receiving widespread criticism, Justin subsequently altered the caption to 4 emojis: a shrugging man, a pointing finger, a heart, and happy tears. His actions consistently reveal a man operating within his own unique sphere of understanding, largely detached from public perception. Despite his extensive career, one might expect a seasoned public figure to possess a better grasp of public relations. His apparent surprise at the negative interpretation of his original caption, evident in his shrugging emoji and gesture implying, "What was wrong with that?" suggests a disconnect. A source close to the couple explained that the original caption was merely his way of expressing apology for past doubts and offering congratulations. Hailey, reportedly, understands his idiosyncratic personality. Just as public sentiment began to shift favorably towards Hailey, another figure deliberately re-entered the conversation. Yes, it was Selena Gomez. After a prolonged period of tension, subtle jabs, and behind-the-scenes drama, she has now become entangled in what appears to be a meticulously timed public congratulatory gesture. The question remains, is this a mere coincidence, a calculated public relations maneuver, or the initial phase of her latest rebranding strategy? As Hailey's magazine cover gained widespread attention, featuring her candid discussion about the difficulties of her pregnancy, including significant bleeding, Justin inadvertently initiated a viral trend on social media where women recorded their boyfriends' reactions to the question of whether they, too, would ever grace the cover of that publication. In the midst of this, Selena chose to share a powerful quote on her social media story. "You matter. Your voice matters. Your heart matters. You are worth so much more than you know." She then captioned it with a message of encouragement stating, "You know who you are and I'm cheering you on." This post followed her public endorsement of a joint announcement by a prominent beauty retailer and Hailey's brand, confirming their upcoming partnership. Naturally, speculation immediately arose that Selena's message was directly aimed at Hailey. This sequence of events also came after earlier reports had indicated that Selena was the reason for the prolonged delay in the aforementioned brand partnership, citing a high-level source who confirmed her involvement in the postponement. Following Selena's social media activity, her fans quickly propelled tweets asserting her innocence and supportive nature towards Hailey, conveniently overlooking the irony that Hailey had previously faced severe criticism for similar supportive gestures towards Selena. Many also perceived this as Selena's attempt at damage control, particularly as public awareness grew regarding her historical patterns of online behavior and her role in past smear campaigns against Hailey, as discussed in previous revelations about paid online negativity directed at Hailey. Even the recent magazine feature alluded to these campaigns. Now, with Hailey directly refuting the stalker allegations and the claims that she used manipulative tactics to attract Justin, even humorously addressing the witchcraft rumors in her magazine video, public scrutiny has begun to shift toward Selena. Selena playfully trolled her accusers in her magazine video, stating she used a special concoction from a witch to make a young Canadian pop star fall in love with her. This playful jab at the stalker and witchcraft accusations was a clear sign she was aware of the ongoing narrative. Subsequently, as questions about Selena's role resurfaced, she subtly responded by posting a photo of herself looking indifferent, captioned, "Me trying to see the F's I don't give," followed by a picture of herself sleeping, simply titled, "Mood." This was a clear attempt to project an air of unbothered detachment. However, if one is truly unaffected, why the public display of indifference? The inconsistency was notable. She then reposted an older video of herself with another pop star from February, captioning it with a reminder that women can always support each other. She then shared a video of a famous singer preaching and a photo of another pop star with heart emojis, actions perceived as attempts to curry favor with multiple fanbases. Regardless of one's stance, it's hard to deny her awareness of the strategic implications of these posts, turning her social media into a temporary fan account to elicit praise from various celebrity fan groups. Shortly thereafter, an anonymous social media account claimed that Selena had direct messaged Hailey following the recent magazine drama and Justin's controversial caption. The account alleged that Hailey accidentally opened the message, freaked out, and immediately sought support from another prominent celebrity. According to this source, Selena's subsequent "You Know Who You Are" story was a direct consequence of this private exchange. The credibility of such a detailed account from an anonymous source is questionable, as is the notion that Selena would possess such a savior complex, intervening in what appears to be a calculated manner. In her recent magazine cover story, Hailey candidly discussed the profound emotional toll of fame, motherhood, and the relentless public scrutiny she faces. She subtly addressed the persistent narratives surrounding a past relationship, the rumors of marital discord, and her transformation into a woman who defies her critics' expectations. The article highlights the significant growth of her business venture, which has elevated her from simply being the wife of a celebrated individual to a successful figure in her own right. This shift became particularly evident after Justin paused his music career, placing her brand at the forefront of their public presence, with Justin assuming a supportive role. Regarding the intense public scrutiny of her marriage, the magazine acknowledges the internet's obsession with Justin's past relationships and the ongoing, allegedly funded, hate campaigns directed at her. Hailey revealed that motherhood has instilled in her a newfound strength and confidence, leading her to prioritize what truly matters and dismiss superficial criticisms. She expressed a weariness of trying to convince those with preconceived notions about her. Justin, in a statement to the magazine, described Hailey as an easy target due to her visibility and natural flair for style, business, and fashion, and her ability to make motherhood and marriage appear effortless. Hailey emphasized that her son is her utmost priority, and motherhood has profoundly impacted her relationship with Justin, fostering deeper empathy and understanding. She openly discussed the internet's preoccupation with the potential collapse of her marriage, stating her frustration with the constant misinterpretations and fabricated narratives. She spoke of the struggle to correct falsehoods, only to be dismissed as untruthful, describing this as a deeply isolating experience. She praised Justin's unwavering support and his advice, acknowledging his extensive experience in navigating public scrutiny. She dismissed the fabricated stories about her marriage as unreal, emphasizing the richness of her personal life with her family and friends. Hailey revealed that significant therapy was instrumental in reaching this state of acceptance, and she endured considerable emotional distress during her postpartum period, exacerbated by the public discourse surrounding her marriage. When confronted with headlines about their alleged marital crisis, Justin's mental health struggles, or their supposed plans to leave their current city, Hailey offered a knowing smile, stating the absurdity of these daily fabricated stories and their contentment with their current residence. She reiterated the extreme sensitivity of the postpartum period, a time of profound personal transformation, and the overwhelming difficulty of navigating relentless online speculation about her marriage's stability. She also discussed her efforts to shield her son from the invasive nature of paparazzi and public intrusion, deeming it cruel to expose a child to such an environment. Hailey candidly shared her struggles with intense postpartum body dysmorphia and self-hatred, lamenting her body's slow recovery, but ultimately finding perspective in embracing her new physical and emotional self. She admitted that social media exacerbated her mental health issues, sometimes leading her to seek out hateful comments for validation, which inevitably led to spirals of negativity. She described childbirth as the most challenging experience of her life, despite thorough preparation, detailing a difficult induction process and ultimately experiencing a postpartum hemorrhage, a frightening ordeal that briefly led to thoughts of mortality. Justin has frequently credited Hailey as a grounding and stabilizing force in his life, and in his statement to the magazine, he reiterated that marrying Hailey was the smartest decision he has ever made. When asked if she believed the pervasive obsession with her and her marriage would ever subside, Hailey, with a resigned smile, expressed doubt, noting that even after 7 years and the birth of their child, the relentless scrutiny continue. The current public narrative surrounding Justin Bieber goes beyond mere financial difficulties. It hints at a calculated effort to control a public figure's image and actions. For those who have followed Justin's career closely, his recent behavior is not a sudden deviation but rather a continuation of long-standing patterns. His choices regarding lifestyle, public presence, and social media activity have been consistent for years. However, the media is currently pushing a narrative of a dramatic shift, and this, in part, appears to be connected to the ongoing legal proceedings involving an alleged abuser. Justin's representative issued a statement clarifying that while Justin himself is not among the alleged victims, there are individuals who have suffered genuine harm, and diverting focus from their experiences detracts from the justice they deserve. Interestingly, reports from close sources suggest that discussions of this particular alleged abuser were not central to conversations about Justin's personal trauma, implying other notable individuals were involved. Following Justin's alleged fallout with his team and reported financial issues, which have been previously addressed, there has been a noticeable surge in media coverage questioning his current state, with some outlets even producing documentaries on the subject. These productions, however, often lack investigative depth, resembling short social media series rather than credible journalism. They predominantly focus on two themes: finances and a particular ex-girlfriend. Certain media outlets allege that the ongoing public feud is one-sided, claiming that Hailey's perceived obsession with a particular ex-girlfriend is entirely a product of her imagination. However, the facts, as repeatedly presented, demonstrate a more complex public engagement from both sides. What is particularly noteworthy is the deliberate push to frame this narrative in a specific way, especially when one party has been consistently and visibly active in public discourse surrounding it. This individual has a history of engaging in provocative social media behavior, even extending to the acquisition of a prominent brand. Following the announcement of this brand's billion-dollar acquisition, a competing brand conveniently tweeted, "Still here," accompanied by images of its founder, implying sole ownership of her company, in contrast to the acquired brand. This implication, however, is inaccurate, as brand acquisitions are common in successful business ventures. This public slight was later deleted after significant online backlash. What we are currently witnessing feels like a widespread effort by the media to mislead the public, a textbook example of propaganda. Every headline meticulously crafts a specific narrative, banking on the principle that repeated falsehoods can eventually be perceived as truth. Currently, the media's objective is to portray Justin as erratic, suggesting he is spiraling or entangled in a cult simply because he speaks of faith and personal redemption. However, this is not new behavior for him. His long-standing history includes questionable decisions and associations, yet he is now being depicted as someone who has suddenly turned to religion or is experiencing a mental breakdown. This portrayal is misleading and sinister, given that his core identity has always included these spiritual elements. Justin is clearly navigating challenges with a new team and the repercussions of past decisions, including financial obligations stemming from a canceled tour. However, this is also, in many ways, just another typical period in Justin's life. He has consistently engaged in certain behaviors, expressed disdain for touring, and demonstrated frustration with the paparazzi, all while maintaining a visually unfiltered presence on social media. While the public's perception of Justin is understandable, given his own occasional missteps in public communication, it is crucial to recognize the media's consistent propulsion of a skewed narrative. They magnify every minute detail of his marriage in a way that would be considered insignificant for any other public figure. This is the more critical conversation we should be having. That concludes this update. I hope you found it insightful. Please remember to like and subscribe for more content. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section below and connect with us on social media for more exclusive celebrity insights. Until next time.